3 different sections of them have now been trained on the use of our trash rover, and specifically an emergency that the trash rover would respond to would be a large spill. That thing has the capacity to tow a containment boom. It also has the capacity to tow absorbent booms to remove liquids, and then of course it has an attachment on the front that does liquid contamination separation. So those 30 some odd CERT volunteers have now been trained on how to launch the thing, attach the liquid separator and or the booms. And to the degree that they have capacity, they are welcome to come back down and operate it, just to pick up debris floating on the top of the water. We have taken over responsibility for all the trash skimmer maintenance. We have a contractor that supports us with materials, pumps, things that are larger than we can handle on our own, but we are out there on a weekly basis doing inspections and light repairs on the 4 trash skimmers that we maintain. Code Enforcement Officer Goldfarb will be speaking on derelict vessels at a code enforcement conference statewide. I've asked that he bring that presentation to you guys in May, so expect to hear about what can and cannot be done with derelict vessels, abandoned vessels, etc. in our harbor, given by CEO Goldfarb. A problematic vessel that was in impound was finally removed, and sorry, I call attention to the images. That image on top is the CERT volunteers being trained on the trash rover just before it gets deployed or launched with user crane. That middle image is one of the problematic boats in impound finally leaving the harbor, thankfully, after many months of negotiating with its registered owner and other people who had claimed to take responsibility for it, but it's gone. Alert Harbor Safety Officer Kadow observed a submerged motorcycle right below the Newport Boulevard Bridge. That's the lower left image there. You see the shiny yellow underneath the water. He came back with appropriate equipment and removed that, took it on his patrol boat, and then dried it out. It's still sitting in the impound at the park at present. We did connect with the police department to find a registered owner, but there are no distinguishing marks, licenses, or any other information, vehicle identification on that. So it remains impound. Management analyst Shintaku was successful in achieving another $9,600 in SAVE grant funds for us. There was a SAVE grant awardee that was unable to make use of funds in the last cycle. There was something on the order of $50,000 left. And so we were offered the opportunity to apply for a portion of it, and we got another $9,600 to deal with abandoned and certain vessels in the harbor that need to be removed. We did address reported trespassing and an unpermitted liveaboard on a particular vessel that was in the A field. So we had reports from nearby residents and harbor users that there were people living aboard a vessel on the A field. The permittee does not have a liveaboard permit, and he was not aware that people were living aboard the boat. So he collaborated with us. The boat was actually moved to a location where it could be better observed by our staff, and the trespass was abated, and there's no further issue associated with that boat. Oh, and then lastly, a sunken tender, which was secured to a mooring adjacent to the actual registered owner's permit, was retrieved, and the dumping of that vessel and attachment to somebody else's mooring was addressed with that irresponsible vessel owner. In terms of keeping the harbor safe, we did rescue several becalmed vessels for our colleagues in the Recreation and Senior Services sailing program at Marine Park. Several distressed paddleboarders were also returned to their points of embarkation. Extra patrols were put on both by us and with our contractor for severe weather patrols and after-hours patrols during severe weather incidents in March. A disabled sailing vessel was assisted back to its mooring when it was trying to exit the harbor. It had been a mooring subpermittee. They had engine trouble when leaving the harbor, so we brought it back safely to their mooring. The point about that was the commercial tow service to which they are engaged was not available when that boat really needed to get back to its mooring, and while that vessel is much larger than we would otherwise take responsibility for towing, it proved that we do have the capability and capacity to move a 40-foot sailing vessel, 44,000-pound sailing vessel from the harbor entrance back to its mooring in relatively calm conditions. We also took part in the Tsunami Partners meeting. That was really fascinating. Agencies from all over the Orange County watershed partook in this thing that was sponsored by the City of Newport Beach at Marina Park. And sort of the most interesting thing for the Harbor Department was hearing from the agencies that are not on the water, but are gonna have to deal with the traffic generated by a tsunami. So when you think of how the traffic on the peninsula or on Balboa Island or even in low-lying areas of West Newport get out of town in the presence of an actual tsunami warning, the cities of Huntington Beach, Costa Mesa, Mountain Valley, a little bit of Irvine, they were all complicit in this Tsunami Partners meeting, and they were all eyes wide open about what would be required for them to get traffic moving not just to their city, but through their city in such an event. And then lastly, in the lower right-hand side, you see a beached motorized vessel from a rental company. And that is impermissible on a beach where swimmers are present. You cannot operate a motorized vessel within 100 feet. So that rental vessel was educated about not beaching native swimmers. That's our aim. In terms of enjoyment of the harbor, we continue our process to better identify and enforce the time limit rules, and that has included now putting plaques next to every cleat on every public dock that serialize and identify them so that the video and photographic evidence of vessels tied to those cleats can be more adequately asserted and then defended. The fishing and public signage at the Balboa Marina public dock was vandalized, I think on that Tuesday night in early March. We've had the signs replaced. They are not all in place yet, but that experience, just the replenishment of the signs was $553.71, plus shipping and handling and staff time to install them. So, not a good thing. And we are requesting video footage from nearby cameras to try and identify the perpetrators and seek restitution from them for that vandalism. There was a large fender that was dropped from there was a large fender dropped from a large charter vessel that we snagged and returned to that vessel. That was quite a fun retrieval event, and ended up with lots of rib tickling between the captain, crew, and our staff. We have spent a lot of time educating people on the proper use of public docks, where and when is appropriate, where and when is not appropriate. There was a permitted raft up in the West Anchorage mid-March, right around the time the boat show, temporary docks started to show up. It was very well knitted together and a really great organization that comes annually, and they continue to get more popular, and their raft up continues to grow. They were very communicative and they made sure that we knew how many vessels were coming and what sizes, et cetera. So it was great to have them here, and we expect that they had a great time and enjoyed themselves both on their vessels as well as on shore. And as always, we provided a lot of wayfinding for rental customers. In odds and ends, it was reported in my staff report that a stakeholder meeting has been was reported as scheduled for April 21st. This is related to the State Lands Commission direction on rates and fees and all that kind of stuff. That meeting has been rescheduled. It will not take place at Oasis on April 21st. Let me be clear. That meeting will not take place at Oasis on April 21st. Rescheduled dates, they're looking at rescheduling dates in late May. I'm sure Felicity will be forthcoming when the date is selected. There will be a small vessel auction April 22nd at Marina Park. A bunch of stuff we have in impound, all non-CF. If you need a new paddleboard or an old kayak, come on down. We got it. We provided, as Chris mentioned, a huge amount of support for dredging, including the relocation of 80 some odd moorings, some unexpected relocations, and then some aids to navigation as well. Several new maps were issued. We have been more popular this year, and Matt Quizzleland in particular has done a phenomenal job in encouraging new businesses to get properly licensed and permitted in the city, and so you'll see in a moment the statistics related to issuance of maps. We're just having a banner here for that. Deputy Harbor Master Quizzleland was also recognized by the Markham Group of the California National Guard for his support and direction and collaboration and really spearheading of the collaborative training efforts on navigation and utilization in emergency circumstances. So he got a special plaque from their commanding captain, I believe. That was a big surprise to him in our office. And the amusing call of the month, came directly in person to me while recreating. A person that was involved in a very large regatta that was taking place out in the ocean that ended up being conducted in some fog was distraught over the lack of visual signals and sound signals available to him when trying to re-enter the harbor in inclement and low visibility conditions. He specifically wondered why I, the harbor master, on a Saturday afternoon with a cocktail in my hand, was not activating the specific signals. I explained to him how the signal can be activated by any mariner with an actual need, and I explained to him how to read the chart so that he could, when entering Newport Harbor or any other harbor where sound and visual signals are maintained by the Coast Guard, could activate same in inclement conditions. My favorite statistic and graphic of the whole presentation is right here. We had 2,317 calls for service in March. 2,156 of them were mapped. You see the distribution there. Lots of activity on South Bayfront, North Bayfront, along the peninsula, through Lido, the West Anchorage, and around Newport Islands. Here is the harbor amenity map usage, which continues to track with previous years. We have a new version of that, and we're hoping to get a little bit better utilization of it now that the graphics have been updated and the GIS-specific data within that map are improved. Here is the permitting activity we've engaged in 2026 so far, and it's only through the end of March. 13 marine activities, I think 5 of which are brand new, never heard of before, and the other 8 are renewals, have been reissued. Harbor event permitting is 21. There's been brisk business in that in April already. Small harbor operator registrations are 5. Rhine Wharf utilization is 8, and morning permit transfers have been 20. This compares to last year, where we weren't tracking morning permit transfers or whatever the other one was on that graphic, but now we're still way ahead in terms, I'm sorry, with the exception of harbor event permitting, where we're 2 behind the pace of last year, we're well ahead in Rhine Wharf utilization and marine activity permit issuance. Here's the statistics, here's the calendar of West Anchorage utilization, because the East Anchorage was closed. You see that at the beginning and end of the month, we did have good utilization. In the middle of the month, we had some severe weather. So not a lot of utilization in West Anchorage, but that's your statistics. I heard a public comment earlier in this meeting and called to your attention the acronym CDP. The P in CDP stands for permit. It does not stand for requirement. So while the boat show may have been permitted to utilize up to 12 piles when constructing their up to 12 piles when constructing their temporary docks, they have selected and elected to use only helical anchors and don't have tackle to secure the temporary docks. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Harbor Master. Any comments or questions from the dais?
Thank you. Done. Thank you, Paul. Good update.
Marie?
No, thank you.
Don?
Fine job.
Bob?
Once again, great job.
Good job. Any public comments? Seeing none, we will move on. Item number 7, motion for reconsideration. A motion to reconsider any action taken by the Harbor Commission must be made at the same or the subsequent meeting at which the action is taken and may only be made by one of the Harbor Commission members who voted with the prevailing side. Do we have any motions or motion for reconsideration? Looking down, I see none. We'll move on. Commission announcements. Anybody have any announcements to make this evening?
For me.
Seeing none?
On September 18th, the Ben Carlson event will finish at Newport Pier, and if you haven't seen it, roll through our harbor as our training sessions will impact the harbor every Wednesday night, as I'm sure Harbor Master Blank is familiar with. But the races are the the fundraising event for the Ben Carlson is actually on that Saturday. They finish in September, and if you haven't seen it, Commissioner Yon and I were there last year. It is a wonderful event for our city, so.
And that's when, September what?
It was on the 19th. 19th of September. And then finish about 2:30 in the afternoon, and they've asked me to take over for poor man because he's not really containable. How's that?
Okay. At least we got you.
Good stuff. Thank you. Anything else? Seeing none? Any matters which commissioners would like to see placed on future agenda for discussion, action, or report?
I'd like to see the update on the Grand Canal information that you found. I don't know if we did agendize it, but I think that's pretty important, so thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, and if I can elaborate on that specifically, I'd like to ask staff to come up with and propose an amendment to the municipal code, section 17.35.030, to allow for either one platform and one mooring or just two moorings. And provide us with some background and information relative to what exists there today and what the benefits may be and all that good stuff.
Will do.
Thank you. Any additional items to be agendized? Seeing none, then I would like to announce that the next meeting of the Harbor Commission will commence Wednesday, May 13th at 5 p.m. We are now adjourned. Thank you.